किया मैम, और अजय सर को मैं होस्ट बनाता हूँ, वो दूसरों को होस्ट बना सकते हैं।
ओके, hello. I think my net connection was disabled. Namo Namaha, Swagatam. I welcome you all in the third lecture of the series on New Dimensions of Sanskrit Research, organized by Department of Sanskrit, University of Mumbai. As we are aware, this lecture series is organized specifically for PhD and MA students to provide them direction towards research in Sanskrit. We had enriching and scholarly lectures by Professor Nirmala Kulkarni and Professor Vijay Pandya in this series. Today's session is on lexical tools of Sanskrit research. Sanskrit lexicography is yet another area for researchers, for students of Sanskrit. But in any kind of research, we can definitely use of lexical tools. We use lexicons while doing research. So it is actually a very important topic which we have to use while doing research. Today's speaker, Dr. Prathika Kulkarni from Department of Sanskrit and Lexicography, College, Pune, will guide us in today's session. Our invitation. I welcome you, madam. I welcome all students, participants, teachers, and researchers. I request students to be prepared for interaction and discussions as well. As madam has suggested, this topic can be developed more on students' question. So now I request Ajay sir to formally introduce Dr. Prathika Kulkarni, madam. I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakuntala, madam. Namo Namaha. It is my great privilege to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Prathika Kulkarni, madam, who is going to talk on lexical tools in Sanskrit research. Dr. Prathika Kulkarni, madam, is working as an assistant professor in the Department of Sanskrit and Lexicography, Deccan College. She holds 2 degrees of post-graduation, MA in Sanskrit as well as MA in Linguistics. She holds PhD in Sanskrit. Many of her articles got published in leading newspapers and magazines. She has presented more than 25 research papers in national and international seminars. I request Dr. Prathika Kulkarni, madam, to start her lecture. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Mukhaṁ karoti vācālam pangum langhayate girim yat krupātamaham vande paramananda madhavam. At the outset, I would like to thank Mr. Ajay for those kind words in my introduction. I'm thankful to Dr. Shakuntala Gavde and Dr. Tazane, because they are the one who introduced me with this audience, and they gave me this opportunity to get connected with you. Today, we will be talking about the lexical tools in Sanskrit research. In the title itself, we can realize that these are two important things when we are doing research, and we are going to connect these two things, that is the lexical tools in Sanskrit and research in Sanskrit. So the word Sanskrit can be connected with the lexical tools, and it is connected with the research as well, research in the field of Sanskrit. Before we start talking about the actual topic, I would like to talk to you about the research in general, just in a few minutes, and then we will start talking about the lexical tools one can help while doing research. Before we start talking about the further things, I would like to tell you all and appeal you all that you might be having number of questions in your mind. This topic is so very vast that it is really very difficult to talk on each and every lexical tool or each and every lexical item in detail in this short lecture. But I just want that you all should get benefited with this lecture. So that is the reason I'm asking you to raise the questions. Whatever questions they come to your mind, you can type them in the chat box. And maybe once we will have one part of the discussion, I'll just go through the questions and I'll try to answer the questions. I won't claim that I will answer all the questions. It is humanly impossible to claim like that. So I won't do that. But this is for sure that if I don't know the answers and it is possible to get the answers, I will get the answers and I will get back to you in next few days via your teacher. Why am I telling you all this? Because the head of the department, Dr. Shakuntala Gavde, she must have thought about a very different kind of program while arranging these lectures for the researchers. And I too want you all to get benefited with these lectures. And this is not a one-time interaction process. So some or the other way, I am connected with the university, Bombay University, Mumbai University. So I think whoever student wants to do research in the field of Sanskrit, whatever help I can extend, I'll be happy to do that. So whatever questions you have, if I can answer them, I will certainly answer them in the session. But if I'm unable, then I'll find out the answers and I will let you know for sure. So please don't feel shy. Whatever questions, whatever problems you're facing while doing research, you can post them, you can write them in the chat box, and we can have good discussion here. Okay, I was told that most of the audience is the PhD students or the MA students who are willing to do the dissertation. There might be some students who have not done research in the field of Sanskrit so far, but they are willing to do it maybe in future. So for them also, these things are going to be very, very important. And the very first step to research is once you decide the topic, what helps you to move further is the literature survey. And in every kind of research, it is told that one should have the literature survey done, and then only you can start the actual research, because after the literature survey, you get a fair idea where to get the data from. So you can start your data collection after the literature survey. At the same time, before you finalize the topic, one thing every researcher has to do, and that is checking whether someone else has worked on the topic or not. And for that, going through the literature in that particular area is very, very important. One more thing I would like to advise you, that if you face any problem in understanding the topic, what I'm telling you, please let me know. We can have a bilingual lecture, and I can translate it in Marathi for you, because it will be easy. The major point here, the major intention of having this lecture is to make you aware of the fact that how much help we already have in the field. And we all want you to take the help from these lexicons, this lexical material, while doing your research. So understanding the point is more important rather than the language in which it is delivered. So if you are not comfortable, the majority of people are not comfortable, we can have the bilingual lecture. So the moment you feel like this, please let me know. Usually, while conducting the course on research methodology, we tell the students that every student, before starting his or her research, should prepare a research design so that he is very much clear about what kind of things he is going to require, what exactly is his hypothesis, and to prove his hypothesis, what all material he is going to consult. So having the fair idea about all these things is very important before you start working on any topic. If someone else has worked already on that topic, can you have some different approach to the same topic and have a different kind of research and different kind of conclusions, results about the same topic after doing the research? So that also can be checked by having the literature survey. And while doing the literature survey, to start with, there are certain baby steps which are to be taken. And this lecture is going to help you to identify the lexicons, to identify the lexical material which is available in your field of research. Because even if we say that we are students of Sanskrit, there are certain specialized branches of study. And if your subject is related to 2 or 3 different branches of knowledge, then you have to consult the material, the lexical material in those particular branches of knowledge. So these are the very basic things a researcher should know before he or she starts working on the topic. Yeah, nowadays, what all we do is, whenever the topic comes to our mind or we think of working on certain topic, the very first thing we do is we Google that word, isn't it? And when we Google, we get a lot of information. Anything, even if some word with a wrong spelling you Google, and you will get a lot of information, pages and pages of information. But every time relying on this information might not be good for you. This inauthentic information may distract you from the topic of your research. So the scholars, they always advise that don't rely on the online or whatever information you get in the digital era completely. Don't rely on it completely. But at the same time, there are certain apps which are very, very helpful while doing research, and which are there even for the people of Sanskrit, the researchers of Sanskrit. So do take advantage of these apps. And we are not going to discuss about these apps today, certainly, because our topic is something different. Then visiting the libraries and going to the libraries and checking the books cannot be replaced by any other source of material, even in the new era, especially for the topics which are dealt with in the field of Sanskrit. So don't rely on the online sources totally. Some of the things, they can be studied with the help of the digital resources. Like you can have the digital copies of the books, or you can have the digital copies of the manuscripts which you want to work on. But relying on these digital sources 100% is not a very good thing. So visiting the libraries cannot be avoided. Then always use the critical editions. I hope you all know about the critical editions and how they are prepared. So just in a couple of sentences, I'll explain how the critical editions are prepared, considering multiple manuscripts of the same text, which are found in different regions of India. Some master copy, we can say, that critical edition is prepared, because these manuscripts, they may have different variant readings of certain words. So the context is seen, the language is seen, and how many manuscripts they have a certain meaning, certain version, or what certain reading, and how many manuscripts have the another reading. Comparing these things, the editor of the critical edition, he or she decides what reading is to be accepted, what reading is appropriate, and what reading makes sense in that particular context. So in such a way, after a very laborious work, the critical edition is prepared, and critical editions are considered always very authentic. And many a times it happens that we get a chance to check the PhD thesis of different universities. And I noticed that many new students, they don't bother to consult the critical edition. Whichever edition is available to them, they use it. And a few days back, I was checking one thesis, and that thesis was on some Puranas, and mainly it was on Bhavishya Purana. And there are certainly different editions of Bhavishya Purana which are available in the market. And the researcher, instead of going to the library or getting the proper authentic critical edition of Bhavishya Purana, the researcher used the pocket book of it. Intention of the editor while preparing that pocket book on Bhavishya Puran is totally different. Making the Bhavishya Puran available to the common readers is the intention behind preparing these small popular books. For a researcher, that kind of book will not help, that kind of book will not give the proper essence of what is there in the text. Even with the translation, same thing is done. Instead of using the scholarly translations, which might have a little heavy kind of language, the very popular, very simple and non-academic, because in spite of being academic, the books or the translations can be interesting and popular. But many a times the students, they choose the wrong translation. They go for the popular and non-academic translations. And obviously, whatever inferences they get from after using that translation, they are really very different from the original text. So we should try to read the original text as long as possible. And we can take the help of the translations and the commentaries on it, but we cannot avoid reading the original text, and we cannot rely 100% on the popular or the pocket books which are available in the market. They might have edited, they might have dropped certain very important things in the text just to make the book small, make it a pocket book. So none of the researchers, they should follow this practice of using the pocket books. They should use the authentic, scholarly, edited and translated academic translations and the original texts. Then one more advice I would give to the new researchers, and that is, talk to the researchers in that particular field, or anyone any friend of yours, any teacher of yours who's having the analytical mind. Because especially with the researchers in the field of Sanskrit, this always happens, that the topics they choose, they might be very popular, and people may have certain things to say about that. For example, if someone is working on the incidents of Draupadi Vastraharan in the Mahabharata, and we all know what exactly had happened at the time of Draupadi Vastraharan. Even if the word Draupadi Vastraharan is used very commonly, if you look at the actual incidents which is elaborated, which is explained in Mahabharata, something like Vastraharan did not happen there. So this word has come out of an incidence which never happened, isn't it? But still the word is there. People might have written a lot about it. Whenever we imagine of this incidents, we always think of whatever version of Mahabharata which was used by the TV serial makers, and whatever they have shown, we always visualize in that context. But the text on Mahabharata, text of Mahabharata, it says something different. A researcher should not rely on all these sources, but he should always think about the original text, the critical edition, and whatever the critical edition contains, it should be considered as the authentic source. One student of my department, she was working on the personality of Krishna. And the personality of Krishna in Mahabharata, she said, then she realized that it is very vast. She has to read each and every stanza in the Mahabharata, and it wasn't possible for her to work on that PhD topic. So finally she changed it, and she thought that she will consider only the references from the 10th skanda of Bhagavata. Whatever impression we have about Krishna as God Krishna is totally different from how Krishna behaves in the 10th skanda of Bhagavata. So in that case, every time the teachers, they used to remind her that you have to think about the Krishna only in 10th skanda. So whatever popular literature you will get about Krishna, Krishna was this, Krishna was that, he was like this. For each and every sentence you utter, you have to give the evidences. If you will say that like Krishna was very kind and he was a very good friend, you should give some example, the actual citation and the text in which the citation comes. Otherwise, your research won't be very reliable and very authentic. So every time you make some statement, you have to supply the supporting citations or supporting evidences along with that statement. Then only it is accepted in the field of research. But in the field of devotion, bhakti, people can have their own feelings, they can have their own ideas, and they can talk about these ideas. They can have their own incidences which might not be there in the text, but there are lots and lots of floating stories, or there are lots and lots of folk stories in context with these popular gods like Ram and Krishna. So the researcher always has to think about these things, that he should not consider anything which is not there in the text, anything which is not authentic, while he is doing the research on a particular text like Mahabharata, and he is working on the texts. If the person is working on some folk tales or something like that, and it is not the topic of purely text in Sanskrit, he can consider all these things, right? So if it is a topic coming under the sociology, you can think of the folk tales and folk stories, different than folk songs, which are related to these gods. So a researcher should always keep these things in mind. So these were the some of the general things. Then here, like I have given some examples, and I just want this class to be a little more interactive. So that is the reason I thought of talking about these things. These are the two things the researchers, they should avoid while consulting any text, any resource material in the field of research, that we always should keep in mind that whatever text we are dealing with, what is the time period when it was composed. So keeping in mind the time period of the text is very, very important, so that there will not be any transgression, or there will not be any misinterpretation of the text because of not considering the time and the context of it. So a person should always keep these things in mind. I have mentioned a few things here, and some of the things we will discuss. I've given the example of Bhavishya Purana. There are many references of many kings in Bhavishya Purana, in the text of Bhavishya Purana. But according to the researchers, it is accepted now that Bhavishya Purana is not a text written by one person at one time or in particular years. It kept on updating. So lots of kings who were historically proved that their regime was after the period of Puranas, their names are there in the Bhavishya Purana. So it kept on, like people kept on adding things to Bhavishya Purana, looking at the topic of it. And wisdom is to accept this fact, which is accepted by the researchers. Otherwise, people, many a times they claim that the kings which are like, history knows that these kings were like Prithviraj Chauhan, or the intruders, Muslim invaders. So their names are there in Bhavishya Purana. So earlier it was written that in future they will come, and that's why it is called Bhavishya Purana. But the researchers, they have found out how these names are there in Bhavishya Purana. So whatever earlier research is done, one should respect it, one should read it, and consider it as authentic. In case of Manusmriti also, many a times the stanzas, they are taken out of the context, and then people misunderstand it and they react differently. Okay, now the third point here is Korona Ashtak. I just want to ask you, have you ever heard about this Korona Ashtak? If you have and you cannot unmute yourself, write in the chat box. Let us make it interactive so that I'll get a chance to talk to you all. And you also will get a chance to participate in the conversation. So have you heard about Korona Ashtak? I can't see anything coming in the chat box. Okay, there is one message. Okay, Anita says yes. Geeta says no, and somebody else also said no. Shilpa says no. Okay, okay. So very few people we have who know about this Korona Ashtak. Can anyone tell me what exactly it is? What exactly you have heard? Okay, there used to be a hymn for the destruction of Corona. Kriminasha Sukta, no. A few days back, a couple of years back, when this Corona thing came in, just after that, immediately after that, a few months after that, one post was widely circulated on WhatsApp. And first no, Go Corona Go is a different story. It's altogether a different story. Better not to talk on that. This Koronashtak was like a Sanskrit verse, eight verses, I think. It was a group of 8 Sanskrit verses, which was circulated as a message on WhatsApp. And it was claimed that it existed in, it was claimed that that particular Corona Sukta, it is from some Purana. I don't remember the exact name of the Purana, but it was said that it is from some Purana. But even from the language, the researcher of Sanskrit can make out that it is not a very old language. So once I received a message on WhatsApp saying that this is a Koronashtak. So can you please find out from which Purana it is? I said, okay, let me read it out. And I said that I don't think that this is from any Purana, because the way words are used and the language which is used, it doesn't seem like any Puranic language. Then I asked one of my friends that I received such and such a message and I'm unable to answer. Do you know about this? And she said that she too received such messages asking about the origin of that particular Corona Sukta, Koronashtaka. And when she inquired, she realized, she got to know that there was a group of Sanskrit school teachers, and some of them, they felt like doing some fun, and for their purpose, just as some composition, people make poems and people write something and they compose the shlokas, just like that, these teachers, they came together and they composed this ashtaka, they composed this like group of 8 verses. And as a part of fun, they circulated it. But people who look at Sanskrit just as the language of religion and just as the language of Mahabharata and Ramayana and all the religious things and mantras, they thought that this is some ashtaka. Ashtaka means a group of 8 verses, that's it. So if you and me, we compose something, some 8 verses about certain topic, or any poem having its different stanzas, we can call it ashtaka. So it was just like that, composed for fun or composed for expressing their thoughts in the reality and what should happen. And it was the tone of the ashtaka or the stanzas was like, may this corona go away, and like whatever things we are suffering right now, may this stop, and all the good wishes for everyone. So it was a good thing. But that was the composition of last year or last to last year, and people, only because it was composed in Sanskrit, people claimed that it was a very old poem, and which is written long back, and that's what everyone was thinking. So I just thought of talking to you on this to check how many participants are awake and how many participants are only technically present. So that was my only intention. And there are some participants who are responding. So I expect that this is going to be fun for you and even for me while talking to you. Nowadays, we all are using this concept of interdisciplinary research, and at a very large scale. Even UGC is promoting this interdisciplinary research. So whenever people in the field of Sanskrit, they are doing this interdisciplinary research, I think they must know these things, that interdisciplinary research seems to be very creative. A creative person automatically gets attracted to this type of research, because what all you're doing is you're connecting 2 different branches of knowledge. You're using the knowledge from 2 different branches and you're connecting the things, and the outcome is very attractive. So people feel like doing interdisciplinary research. It is very much applied. You can connect the outcomes of your research to the day-to-day life. But at the same time, it is very much risky, because people from two different branches of knowledge, the experts from both the branches of knowledge, they might say that this topic itself cannot be considered as a topic of research, or this cannot be called the authentic research, because they must be unaware of the findings and the research in the other field. So that is the reason it is very risky. You can see one picture here in which one boy he is on the tree and he's holding one rope in his one hand, and in the other hand he is holding somebody else's hand. So doing the interdisciplinary research, I always think it is like this. But you can look at his vest, there is the harness tied to it. So if someone is working in the interdisciplinary research area, he must have the harness of sound knowledge of both the branches of knowledge. Then only he or she can have the very good outcome, very good acceptance of the findings, and he or she can apply the knowledge they have received from the research to the practical life. Now, directly we will start talking about the lexical material available to the researchers in the fields of Sanskrit. We will cover all the main fields, and I will introduce you to the literature and the lexical material which is available in that particular field. If someone is working on Vedic literature, Vedas, the very first thing, the very first book or the very first lexicon he or she should use is the Vedic Concordance. What is Vedic Concordance? It is the list of the Vedic mantras and the references. If one particular mantra which is cited in Rig Veda, consider the very first Rig Vedic mantra, that is the Om Agni Vede Purohitam. If that particular Rig, that particular mantra in Rig Veda, it is used by, or it is prescribed to be used by the Yajurveda in a particular ritual, then that particular mantra in Prathika form will come in Yajurveda. Some song is like composed on it, and it will be the part of the Samaveda Samhita also. So it will come there also. And even in the further texts, like the Shrauta Sutra, wherever it is applicable, it is used. That particular mantra will be quoted. So it will come in the Shrauta Sutras. It will also come in the Griha Sutras. And it will also come somewhere else as an example in some other Vedic literature, maybe some Vedangas. So in this case, the Vedic Concordance gives us all the references of the particular mantra. And these mantras, they are arranged alphabetically. This particular concordance, this particular list of mantras is published in 1906 by Bloomfield and Morris. They are the editors of this Vedic Concordance, and Harvard University Press, Cambridge, they have published it. This is one of the very basic and very important book which is to be used by the students of Vedic literature to find out the occurrences of the application of a particular mantra in various other texts. The next text which we are going to know about is the Practical Vedic Dictionary by Suryagantha. This dictionary is published by American Oriental Society in 1986. The importance of this book is it gives the reader a very general idea about anything. If a person wants to know about Agni Chayana, and if you will look at the entry of Agni Chayana in the Practical Vedic Dictionary, it gives you a very small paragraph about what is Agni Chayana, what are the references which the researcher should go and check for knowing the first occurrence of this word, and even the first occurrence of this concept, and all the places where this concept comes. So this Practical Vedic Dictionary is one of the very important lexicon while you are working in the field of Vedic ritual. Then this is one more text that is by Chitra Bhanusin. Most of the books I have, for most of the books, I have taken the pictures and I have taken the first pages of the books just to give you the glimpse of how the book looks like, and who has published it, and all the information I have given, so that you can take the screenshot of this and you can find out the book if it is useful and relevant to your studies. So this is the Dictionary of the Vedic Rituals by Chitra Bhanusin, and it considers the Samhitas texts and even the Griya Sutras. So whatever concepts are there in the Vedic ritual, concepts related to Vedic ritual, they are considered by this text. Okay, I have just tried to show you the entry of one word, Agnyadhiya, I think it is, but it is not possible for me to read it. I'll just try to enlarge it. And yeah, no, it is Ashwamedha. I thought of that entry and then I took Ashwamedha. Here you can see, while giving the information about Ashwamedha, it's a horse sacrifice. The grammatical category of the word is given here as masculine. And the very first occurrence, it is recorded in the Rigveda 162 and 163. So the Sukta numbers, they are given from the first mandala of Rigveda. And it is to be performed by the sovereign or a crowned king. So who's the person eligible to perform this? It also gives the reference from the Katyayana Shrauta Sutra, and it is a 3-day Soma sacrifice. That information is also given, and it continues. So even in the next page of this lexicon, the information about Ashwamedha is given. So whoever wants to know the authentic information about Ashwamedha and the places where it is prescribed in the Shrauta Sutras or elsewhere in the actual Vedic literature, these things are considered here, they are given here. Whenever we think of this Ashwamedha, or whenever any common person thinks of Ashwamedha, he always remembers the reference of Ashwamedha in the Ramayana. But the researchers, they might not be like satisfied or happy by getting the only reference in Mahabharata. They might be feeling like getting the original, having a look at the original things, and in that case they can use these dictionaries for while working on the topics in the Vedic area of knowledge. Okay, here we have Vedic Padanukrama Kosh, which is also called as Vishwabandhu's, that is published by the Vishveshwarananda Vedic Research Institute, and the editor was Vishwabandhu, so it is known as Vishwabandhu Kosha also. So it is the Vedic Padanukrama Kosha, Vedic Word Concordance. Just like the Mantra Concordance, this is the Word Concordance, and This is one of the very, very important works a person in the field of Vedic studies should use. Okay, someone says here that please unmute me. Dr. Shakuntala, is it possible for me to unmute this person, or we need to ask someone?
Yes, you can, madam.
Okay, let me check. Can anyone guide me, please?
Yeah. Otherwise, Sapna madam, can you do, please?
एक मिनट चेक करो.
हाँ, please. Is the speed okay? Are you all okay with the speed and the content, and the language, or I should change it? Okay. Okay, Lisha, they're trying to unmute, to mute you. So this Vedic Padanukramakosh is one of the very important texts. It is a subject-specific multitextual concordance. Why it is called multitextual? The only reason is it uses all the texts in the field of Vedas. So all the Vedic literature is considered while preparing this lexicon. And what the author has done is, the author has divided the Vedic literature into 4 groups. The first group is Samhita, the second is Brahmana, and Brahmana and Upanishads. The third is the Shrauta and the Griha Sutras, so the Sutra literature. And then there is a separate section where like the Vedangas are considered. Samhita, Brahmana, Upanishad, and Vedangas, like the Shrauta and Griha Sutras, they are included in that. So in this way, there are 4 different books which are published, and the way in which the information is given, that is very much interesting. There are total 16 volumes, and the corpus of 500 Vedic treatises, 500 Vedic Sanskrit books, they are used here while preparing this lexicon. The ancillary literature, that is also considered here, and 25 main heads of basic texts, they are considered while preparing this lexicon. Let me explain you how to look at this lexicon and what are the peculiarities of this. Volume 1 of it contains Samhitas and Khila Suktas. It comes in the 6 parts. Volume 2 is Brahmanas and Aranyakas. 3 is Upanishads, and 4 is Vedangas. And Common Master Index of entire Vedic vocabulary, it comes in 2 parts. And the 2 parts are ab initio and ab ultimo. So what is ab initio and what is ab ultimo, I'll be explaining with the examples. I'll be showing you the actual pages of the Vishwabandhu Kosha. Ab initio is the words are arranged from the first letters. So alphabetical arrangement is done in the ab initio volume, and in ab ultimo, the last part of the word is considered and then the words are arranged. So if there are many words in which they are compound words, and the second member of the compound, the last member of the compound is udaka, first member may be anything, but the last member is udaka, then that particular word will be arranged at the place of k as the last sound is k, the last character is k. So we will look at the actual part of the text and then things will be clear to you. The beauty of this work is it gives the references wherever that particular word comes. For example, we are looking for the word Agni, then wherever Agni word comes, all the references are listed out. If it comes 4 times, 5 times in Apastamba Shrauta Sutra, 17 times in some other text, all the references, they are listed out. Each and every reference is listed out. So we get all the references at a time with this index. And there are certain symbols which are used in the text, and the footnotes are given at the bottom of the page. By and large, there are 11 to 12 footnotes on each page. They are numbered A, B, C, D like that. And these footnotes, they contain lot of information about the phonetics, phonology, etymology of the word, grammar of the word, accent, even about the meter. If the word changes its accent in 2 different texts or 2 different kind of accent is seen in the text, that is marked here. Then it talks about meter, morphology, semantics, everything is covered while giving these footnotes. So one should not think that it is just the word index and it gives you the references of the words and that's it. No, it's not like that. It gives many more things than the actual words and their references. Okay, I can see some messages here. Okay, better to ignore them. Okay, some uncertain, obscure, and amendable textual situations, they are considered while giving this footnotes. Okay, my PPT is in editable mode because I don't have the latest version of Zoom. And even if I change the PPTs, they won't change. So that is why I have kept it in the editable mode. And that's why you can see some other things coming on in the PPT. But here I have explained the proper way to use this lexicon, because many a times it happens that the very first thing is people generally, they don't know about these lexicons. We are working in the lexicographical project, and as a part of our work, we have to visit these lexicons every now and then. So we all are surrounded by the lexicons in the library where we sit for work. So we have to visit these. The very first thing is people don't know about these lexicons. And the other thing is many of the times it is very tricky and important to know about how to use these lexicons, how to check certain words in the lexicons. And for this particular lexicon, Vishwabandhu Kosh, one has to see the consolidated index first. In the consolidated index, in the ab initio index, in which Vedic text the words are coming, according to that, the number of the volumes are given. For example, in front of a particular word, Agni Chayana, if 1 and 3 is written, the word comes in Samhita, and it also comes in the third part, that is the Upanishads. So considering that the numbers are given, then you have to go to the volume where the Samhita references are given, and again you have to go to the volume where the Upanishads are given, Upanishad references are given. Okay, so that is the key to look at this lexicon and get information from this. Okay, here's the first page of the Vedic Index of names and subjects. I'm sorry, just give me a minute. I have the pages of the index. So just give me a minute. I will bring them here on the screen so that it will be visible for you all. Yeah, this is the first page of Vishwabandhu Kosh. Then we also have the index, which I want to show you. See here, you can see that I'll just enlarge. Yeah, see here, you can see the word Anutirtha comes in 4, that is in the 4th section only. Here, Anutta or Anutta comes in 1, 2, and 4. So, Samhita, Brahmanaranyaka, Upanishad. So, in that particular volume, you can get these words. And here we have the reverse index of ultimo. Look here, Gandhodaka, Tilamishra Gandhodaka, Satila Gandhodaka. These are the words which are coming in the Vedic texts, and they are arranged in such a way that the second part of the compound word and the last letters, they are considered while arranging these words in the alphabetical order. So this is a very peculiar thing which we find in the Vishwabandhu Vedic Padana Kramakosh. So this is one of the important lexicons. And now this is the Vedic Index of Names and Subjects, which is prepared by MacDonald and Keith. This again is very important when people are working on some specific concept in the Vedic literature. We have the Shrauta Kosha, which gives information about the Shrauta ritual. It is called a subject-specific multi-textual lexicon. So anything about Vedic sacrifice and Vedic ritual can be obtained here. It can be seen in this lexicon. So the Shrauta, knowledge of the Shrauta, it is reflected in this Shrauta Kosha. It is comprehensive and complex sacrificial ritual embodied in the vast Vedic literature covered in 2 sections. There are 2 different types of Shrauta Koshas available. One is in Sanskrit, and the same thing is translated in English as well. So in the Sanskrit section, we have the Samhita, Mantra text, Brahmana text, and mainly Bodhayana Shrauta Sutra. And in this English section, the translation of the related part is given. Yeah, these are the things which are covered in the Sanskrit section. So, Haviryagas, Pitrumedha, Go Pitruyaga, Agnishtoma, basic Somayaga, Atyagnishtoma. These are the things which are covered in those particular volumes. Yeah, how to find information from this? And the key to find the information in many of the lexicons is, see here for Shrauta Kosha, there are two types of indices. One is the index, which is given in the beginning, which gives you the information about the topics which are covered and the sequence in which these topics are covered. So the index, the contents page given in the initial pages of these lexicon, that is the key to find out the particular yaga or particular ritual which you want to know about, and then you can go directly to that particular part. Another thing to reach to the information you are looking for is the Sanskrit word list at the end. So the very first thing is the researcher should know about the lexicon, and the researcher should also learn to know how to use the lexicon. So many a times we are hardly aware of the facts, what all information the lexicons they give us. Many of us might have used the Update dictionary, but what do? We just have something in our mind, we have some query, we go to the dictionary, we check that particular word in the alphabetical order, we find it out, we see the meaning, we see the usage, and that's it. But Update dictionary gives 8 different types of appendices. And these appendices, which are given at the end of the dictionary, they provide a lot of information which a researcher can use. And that particular information is very, very authentic. So, like we always should consider the appendices given in the lexicons and this lexical material. Okay, before we head towards the lexicons and lexical material which is available for reading the Mahabharata and Ramayana, I have something missed over here, and that is the Vedic Bibliography. Okay, this is the Vedic Bibliography. This is a very specific kind of lexical item, which lexicon, I would say, which helps us to know many, many things. This Vedic Bibliography, it comes in 7 to 8 volumes, and is published by, the first volume was published by Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, Pune in 1986 in the Government Oriental series. And all these volumes, they provide a lot of material. If someone wants to do the literature survey on a particular topic, these volumes are to be visited, because see here you can see how and how the
Hello, Pradnya madam. Hello, Pradnya madam. माझा आवाज येतोय का? पोस्ट नाही. पोस्ट केलं नाही. एक मिनिट. या काय? प्रज्ञा मॅडम तुम्ही अनम्यूट करू शकाल का? मी तुम्हाला होस्ट केलंय, को होस्ट केलंय.
ओके, हा आता झालं. माझं अनम्यूट होत नव्हतं.
हा हा हा.
ओके
ओके
ठीक आहे. सो शॅल वी कंटिन्यू?
हो हो हो, तुम्ही कंटिन्यू करू शकता.
या share cut the screen. See, here you can see in the initial pages, it is given that what all things are covered here. You can have a look at how the index is given. So if someone has worked on the individual Vedic gods, if someone has worked on Aditi, it is given on 143. But how it is given, while giving this information, the author who has worked on it, the place where or the journal where the article is published, or the publisher who has published the book, and along with that, something is given, and that is the beauty of this work, and that is the gist of the content. So if someone has proposed that Aditi is the only like important female goddess in the Vedic gods, among the Vedic gods, this is just an hypothesis, but hypothetical situation we are considering. But if someone has stated that the gist of that paper is given in 2 to 3 lines, or whatever the author has proposed in the book is given in the Vedic bibliography. So Vedic bibliography becomes very, very important for the researchers, and no one should miss using the this text. I would like to show you one more page of Vedic bibliography. Unfortunately, I forgot to put these pages in the PPT, and that's why I have to retrieve them from the. See here, Atharva Veda. Those who have worked on the hymns, the work is considered here on page number 18. Then the general study about Atharva Veda, whatever publications are there, it's written here. At the end of this book, at the end of every book of Vedic bibliography, there is author index and there is subject index. So if you know, if you want to follow some author, for example, if Dr. G.U. Thite, he has written a lot on different topics in Vedas, and he has also written on something else. So if you want to follow him, you can check all his publications which are listed in the Vedic bibliography. If someone wants to follow Professor A.M. Ghadge, who was a linguist and Sanskritist, so if someone wants to follow him, or someone wants to follow M.A. Mehendare, you can read all his articles, and not the articles, but gist of the article and where you can get the article. So that information is given in this Vedic bibliography. So this is one of the very important books for the researchers. And I think each and every researcher who's starting the research in the field of Sanskrit, it might not be the research in the field of Vedic, or the branch of knowledge might not be Vedic, you should see this book. And this will give you a fair idea what all people have done so far. Many a times it happens that people are confused while deciding their topics. They have no idea where to get the topic from. And many such students, they come to the guides and they ask, Madam, please give us the topic. So in such a situation, I always tell the students, if they are the students of Veda, go and see Vedic bibliography. even if they are not the students of Veda, there are lots of sections. Some people, they have worked on the sociological aspect, which is reflected in the Vedic literature. So that also is listed here. So I ask students to visit this book, and then they get the idea how to phrase the topic, how to get the topic, and how to think about, how to start thinking about the topic. Now we will look at the lexicons related to epics and Puranas. The very first important work is Mahabharata Prathika Index. Then we have Bharatiya Charitra Kosh. It is also called Prachin Bharatiya Charitra Kosh. Then we have the Bharata Kosha, and we have the Kalidasa Paryaya Kosha. There are lots and lots of other texts and lexicons, but we will talk about these lexicons quickly, and then we will see what all information is left. Actually speaking, the place where I'm working in Deccan College, we have 62 different branches of knowledge and books which are in Sanskrit, 1,546 books from 62 branches of knowledge. They are selected for preparing the dictionary. It's a dictionary project. So even if I will talk about each and every branch of knowledge and the lexical works in that, it will be a lecture series, and I won't be able to complete it in one lecture. So that is the reason I told you initially that here we have the time-bound format of 2 hours for the lecture. So I might miss many things, but I have tried to talk about some important things which will be useful for you. Even after this, if you have any doubt, any query, any question, you can ask the questions to your head of the department, and she will pass it on to me, whatever questions are there. Maybe via her, we can have a dialogue and I can convey you the information you need. Or another thing is, a few days back, the Department of Sanskrit and Lexicography in Deccan College completed 200 years, and on the occasion of bicentenary, we had arranged a course on the tradition of Sanskrit lexicography, in which we covered the Sanskrit lexicons, the classical lexicons, the ancient lexicons, and the modern bilingual lexicons. Apart from that, we also covered subject-specific lexicons. And whatever 4 or 5 lexicons we have seen so far in this lecture, we had separate lectures on each and every lexicon, talking about the methodology these lexicographers have followed, the way in which they have given the information, the tactics and the patterns and the methods they have used. The corpus means the where they have taken the data from, and lots of other things about these lexicons. So how to see these lexicons, how to get information from these lexicons, everything was discussed in detail, and that was a wonderful course, and we got overwhelming response, and Deccan College might repeat that course in near future. So whoever is interested in knowing these things, they can just keep an eye on the flyer if we float some flyer about the course, and I will definitely share it with your head of the department so that she can convey it to you. And do think about attending that course, because if you're finding this thing interesting, that course is certainly going to give you a lot about lexicography and the lexical material available for the researchers. Mahabharata is one of the very famous classical epic in the globe, and we can see the wide influence of it in the on the literature and culture of life of masses in India. The Prathika Index is based on the critical edition of Mahabharata, which was prepared by the scholars in Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute and published by Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute. So this Prathika Index is the index of the verses in Mahabharata, all the 1 crore or whatever number the verses are, all the verses, they are the first answer of it. See, the verses are indexed, but how they are indexed? 4 padas of one shloka, they are considered as 4 different entries. And in that way, they are alphabetically arranged. And in this way, after publishing the 22 volumes of the text of Mahabharata, along with the Harivansha, which was published in 1972, after that, this indexing project started. And everywhere in the index, in this index, Mahabharata reference is given, but along with the reference of the Parva, the Adhyaya, and the Shloka, there is one more thing added while giving the Prathika reference, and that is A, B, C, D, E, and if required, F, E, and F, to count the quarters of the verse, and in which is the quarter, which is that particular quarter, is indicated by giving these numbers A, B, C, D, along with the Parva number, Adhyaya number, and the Shloka number. Then we have the Bharatiya Charitra Kosh, which is published by Bharatiya Charitra Kosh Mandal, Pune, and it gives information about the eminent personalities belonging to India in ancient times and even in the modern age. So the full age is full period, time period is divided into 3 sections, and that is the ancient people in the ancient India, they are considered Prachin. People in the medieval India, they are considered Madhya Yugin, and people in the modern era, they are considered Arvachin. And all the information about these people that is given in this Bharatiya Charitra Kosh. While talking about the Prachina, ancient Indian civilization, the age of, right from the age of Rigveda up to the 3rd century BC, that is the Mauryan dynasty. Famous personalities in this particular time period, they are considered in that particular volume, 1st volume. Then the middle-aged personalities, that is the Mauryan rulers, up to, from the Mauryan rulers to 1817. The famous personalities, they are considered in the 2nd. And in the 3rd segment, the modern age personalities, famous personalities, they are considered. And that age starts from 1880, which is one of the very important year historically, because that is the year when the Peshwas, they lost the kingdom and the British rule started then. So from that up to 1965. And these are the 3 sections in which the famous personalities are segregated. And what all information we get about these people, their names, the times in which these personalities were there, their family, their race. So historical information is there, the parentage, birthplace. In case of Sanskrit poets, many a times it happens that there are various poets with the same name. So in such a situation, when there are more than one individual of the same name, information about all the possible famous people is given. So they are numbered. So Arabic numbers are given with the names, and in that way, the information is given. Then the next lexicon, we have the Bharata Kosha, which is a dictionary of technical terms in the field of music, dance, drama, dramaturgy, etc. Author of this lexicon is Srimanavalli Ramakrishna Kavi, and it is published by Venkateshwara Oriental Series, Tirumalla, Tirupati Devasthan Press. It is edited by P.V. Ramanujaswamy in 1951. This again is one of the very important work if someone is working in the field of dramaturgy, because as you all know, music, then the musical instruments and dance, dramaturgy, all these things, they are interconnected. And we know about Bharata's work, Natya Shastra on dramaturgy, which is 2nd century AD. And we also know about the commentary, the very famous commentary on it by Abhinavagupta, that is Abhinava Bharati. But this particular text, this particular lexical work, Bharata Kosha, it gives all the information together, because many a times it happens that Bharata in his Natya Shastra, which is composed in 2nd century AD, has said something about a particular topic. For example, consider Tala. Bharata talks about Tala, and the latter musicians or latter scholars who write texts on music, that is maybe Sangeeta Ratnakar or Sangeeta Makaranda, the authors of these texts, they also have written something on Tala. So Bharata Kosha at a glance gives you all the information which is related to Tala, which comes in the ancient texts. So if someone is working in the field of dramaturgy, he should not miss this lexicon, visiting this lexicon. Very small concepts. See, here I have taken the example of Pushpanjali, and it is given there that Pushpanjali Samaye Pathana Shlokaha, and the author who has composed that is Hammira. He has composed that particular shloka, which is even used nowadays at the time of Pushpanjali at the beginning of the dance form, any dance form. And that particular shloka is composed by Hammira, comes in the text Shrungarahara. So that information we can get immediately. Who's the composer of this particular stanza, or what is the text in which this comes? So every information you can get in Bharata Kosha. One more lexicon, which is Natya Shastra Vishwakosha, Encyclopedia of Natya Shastra, which is composed by Radhavallabh Tripathi ji, is one of the wonderful works. And a person working in the field of dramaturgy or dance or music should not miss. Actually, he cannot miss this text. It is composed by single author Radhavallabh Tripathi ji, and it comes in 2 volumes. The new print of it is there in the market nowadays. So while preparing Natya Shastra Vishwakosha, on the bicentenary occasion, when Deccan College arranged the course in the tradition of Sanskrit lexicons, I happened to meet Radhavallabh Tripathi ji, and I happened to interview him. At that time, I realized many more things about this Natya Shastra Vishwakosha and the pains he has taken while preparing this, because he has consulted more than 100 books on right from prosody and right from the literature. He has considered texts on Sangeeta, Nritya, Natya, and all the aspects of Natya Shastra. So whatever different topics are considered and discussed by Natya Shastra, if they are coming in different texts, different other texts, or there are some other texts written after Natya Shastra on that particular topic, he has considered everything. He has given the references. So exhaustive articles are there in Encyclopedia of Natya Shastra by Radhavallabh Tripathi ji. So this is one of the wonderful books, one of the wonderful encyclopedias. And even if you are not working in the field of Natya Shastra, one should visit this and one should see this book definitely. It comes in 2 volumes. Then we have Kalidasa Paryaya Kosha. This is another wonderful lexicon. A person working in the field of literature should not miss this. The term Paryaya here denotes synonymy, Samanarthakata. In case of Sanskrit, the idea of synonymy is a little different from whatever idea of synonymy we have in English. According to English, there are no exact synonyms, but we do have the lexicons giving the synonymous words. We also have the lexicons giving the anekarthata, that is the polysemous words. And we also have some lexicons like Vaijayanti Kosha, giving both the things in two different sections. As the Vaijayanti Kosha is divided into two sections, one section gives the synonymous words, Samanarthaka Shabda, and the other section gives the Anekartha Shabda, as polysemous words. This Kalidasa Paryaya Kosha is composed by Tribhuvananath Shukla. He is a retired professor from the Department of Hindi and Linguistics at the Rani Durgavati University, Jabalpur, MP. And what he has done, what he has given in this Kalidasa Paryaya Kosha is, I have given here the publisher, the Pratibha Prakashan 2008, and it is coming in 2 volumes. This is a technical information, but interesting thing is to know what all it gives. And it gives the synonyms of the words which come from Raghuvamsha in volume 1. The total 291 words are taken for the purpose of showing the synonymous numbering. So synonymous words are given. If one word is taken, for example, word Ambara, consider, I think I have given the example in the Nyaya. Here I have given example. Word Triambaka is given with 20 synonyms. So in Raghuvamsha, wherever Kalidasa uses a synonymous word to Triambaka, it is listed here. And you can see here that these are the 20 synonyms: Ashtamurti, Ishwara, Girisha, Chandramauli, Tripuradvisha, Trilochana, Triambaka, Parameshwara, Pinakin, Bhutanatha, Bhuteshwara, Maheshwara, Rudra, Vishveshwara, Vrishabhadvaja, Vrushanka, Vrushadvaja, Shulabhrut, Sthanu, and Hara. So all these synonyms of, obviously you all know that these are the synonymous words to used for Lord Shiva. So as a synonym of Triambaka, these words, they come in Raghuvamsha. For volume 1, he has considered only Raghuvamsha, and for volume 2, he has considered the other 3 poetical works by Kalidasa, that is Kumara Sambhava, Meghadutam, and Ritu Samharam. The first section contains 660 synonymous words from Kumara Sambhava. Second section, there are 3 sections in volume 2. The second section of volume 2 contains 107 words with their 371 synonyms from Meghaduta, and the third section contains 85 words with the 352 synonyms from the text Ritu Samhara. So all the poetic works of Kalidasa he has considered, and the drama works are not considered. Even if he has considered only the poetic works, 634 words are considered by him while preparing this lexicon. So whoever wants to work on the any poetical work of Kalidasa should see this lexicon, Kalidasa Paryaya Shabdakosha. After this, I have listed out some of the important lexicons. I'm going to show only the opening pages of these lexicons to give you an idea what all variety of lexicons we have, because it is really impossible to finish talking on this topic, and even if we have 2 sumptuous hours and good time with us. Okay, the Pada Index of the Valmiki Ramayana. We saw the Pada Index of Mahabharata as Prathika Index. Similarly, we have the Pada Index of the Valmiki Ramayana, and that is edited by Ramakrishna Vyas, and it is published by Oriental Institute. at Vadodara. Okay, this is the way the index is given by index of or the index of Ramayana verses is given by this text, this lexical work. So if you want to find any verse and the context and the exact place of any verse in Ramayana or in Mahabharata, you have these two aids, these two lexical works, that is the index of Valmiki Ramayana and the index of Mahabharata, that is the Prathika Index. Yeah, then this is one of the very famous books by Karl Potter, and that is the Encyclopedia of Indian Philosophies, Bibliography. This book, the contents page of it will give you a fair idea what all this book gives about, it talks about. We have seen the contents page of the Vedic Bibliography. On the same lines, if you want to see or know what all texts are composed by people on yoga, on Sankhya, on Purva Mimamsa, or on Sautrantika Buddhism or Abhidharma Buddhism, you can get the names of the texts in this lexicon. And that is the reason this Encyclopedia of Indian Philosophies is very, very important text, though for those who are working on darshanas or any other texts in the field of philosophy. This is the Prajna Pathshala Mandal Granthamala published book, Mimamsa Kosha, that comes in 2 parts. So all the concepts in Mimamsa, they are discussed here. See here, from the content page only you will get to know what all things are covered here. So how this science of Mimamsa, this way of thinking of Mimamsa is, how old it is. What exactly is Mimamsa? How it is important, the importance of this. What is the exact topic? What are the topics covered in this lexicon? Then people who have written texts in the field of Mimamsa. So the all ancient texts, they are considered here. And so whoever wants to know something about Mimamsa can use this text. Then we have the Yoga Kosha. This again is the latest dictionary, I would say, because very recently it is published by the Kaivalya Dhama. And something went wrong. Okay. Yeah, this is the Yoga Kosha. And Kaivalya Dhama Samiti, Lonavla, they have published this. Philosophical Literary Research Department of Kaivalya Dham, they have edited this. The first edition came in 1972, but the latest edition came in 2017. So they have updated and upgraded the information. So minimum 4 editions they are published here. And it's a very small work of 370 pages, so only 1 volume. And for preparation of this yoga dictionary, 37 different texts are used, yoga texts are used. There are 1,800 entries from these texts and additional entries from the other texts also they are given. Every entry is explained along with the reference to the context in which it comes. And this is the way it is given. I haven't given this information for all the lexicons. Otherwise, I don't think I would have talked about more than 2 to 3 lexicons. So see here, we can see the entry of Viparyaya. This is the way it is given, what Patanjali says about it, and what the other texts say about it. It is given in like the abridged form, it is given in the precise form. For yoga, we have many more texts, and this is the text. This dictionary by Ernst Wood is one of the old dictionaries which gives a very basic idea about yoga. So I won't recommend this yoga dictionary for the people who are working in the field of yoga, but I would recommend this dictionary, this lexical work, to those who want to know about yoga, but they are working on some other topic, because very basic things are given in this dictionary, but they are given for those who are working in some other branch of knowledge and they want to know about yoga. This is published by Pilgrims Publishing, Varanasi. Ernst Wood is the author, and 2008 it is published. A very small work of 187 pages. Yeah, there is one more work which is Yoga Concordance. So those who are working in the field of yoga, they can use this Yoga Concordance. This again is published by the Kaivalya Dham Samiti Lonavala, the same people who have published the Yoga Kosha. So, but this work is a very relatively large work which comes in 7 volumes, and it is based on 70 texts, while Yoga Kosha is based on 37 texts. We have seen that. Then we'll just rapidly see what all texts on the other topics we have. This is Yoga Shabda Kosha by Subhasha Vidyalankar. Then here we have the Dictionary of Nyaya terms, this is the latest dictionary published in 2001, because before this we had the Nyaya Kosha. That was the only dictionary which was available, and this dictionary of Nyaya terms, the terms are given in Sanskrit and the explanation is given in English, and this is prepared by the director, the former director of Center of Advanced Studies in Sanskrit, University of Pune, Professor V.N. Jha. Then we have this Dictionary of Advaitha Vedanta. See, even if someone is working in the field of Darshana, there are lots and lots of dictionaries and lexical works. The only thing is, mostly the researchers are unaware of these dictionaries, and that is the reason they don't use it. If they use this, lot of time will be saved, because ready-made referencing they will get. Many references they will get ready-made. Where to look for the topics, this thirst will be pacified. Here we have the Advaita Shabdartha Manjusha. Words used in the field of Advaita Vedanta, they are listed here. We have the Vishishta Advaita Kosh. This is the part which covers show and show. So like this, there are many other there are many other volumes covering the words starting from some other syllables. This is the word index to the Upanishad Shankara Bhashya. So for the people, and that is the author of this book is Professor Kanchan Mande, who's the former head of the Department of Sanskrit, University of Pune. Dr. Bhavana Balte is the co-author for this book, and book is published by New Bharatiya Book Corporation. It comes in 4 volumes, Word Index to the Upanishad Shankara Bhashya, one of the very best works and voluminous works done by 2 ladies. Yeah, after this, I was thinking about talking about the some lexical works, ancient lexical works in Sanskrit, and some bilingual lexicons. But looking at the time, I don't think I should talk in detail about these works, but I'll just rapidly tell you about these works. The early Sanskrit lexicons, like Nighantu, Nirukta, Sutrapat, Dhatupat, Ganapat, Linganushasanam, Shiksha, it can be said, looking at the pattern and the information these lexicons give us, it can be said that they might be composed for the purpose of memory aid. They might be composed for as memory aid and for the teachers who wanted to teach these topics. So that is the way they are composed. So there is no alphabetical order in these seen in these ancient Sanskrit lexicons, and certainly no meaning is given. In some of the texts like Nirukta, the etymologies are given. Sutra Patha, Dhatu Patha, Gada Patha are just the word lists. And in the text called Liganushasanam, again the meaning is not given. The texts, they give the gender of the word. And the Shiksha texts, mainly they focus on the way of pronunciation. In case of the classical lexicons, all the lexicons which chronologically are composed after the composition of Amarakosha, which is also known as Namadinganushasana, these type of lexicons, they are composed to help the composers, to help the poets, and that is the reason their focus is giving the synonymous words or giving the polysemous words. So as the Amarakosha is divided into 3 kandas, Swaradi Kanda, Bhumyadi Kanda, and Samanyadi Kanda, the same pattern is followed by the latter lexicons, latter classical lexicons, and most of the lexicons, they are divided into 3 or more kandas, but most of them, they have the similar pattern which is followed by Amarakosha, because Amarakosha was the most popular lexicon in classical lexicons. So it marks the period of classical lexicons. And many other classical lexicographers, they have followed the pathway of Amarakosha, and they have composed many lexicons in that fashion. Then we have the modern bilingual lexicons. So these modern bilingual lexicons, they are arranged in the alphabetical order. They give etymology, they give meaning of the words, and this lexicography was considered as a branch of knowledge when these lexicons were prepared. Mostly, lexicography is also considered as one of the 64 kalas, one of the 64 art forms. And I won't go into the detail, but these modern bilingual lexicons, they start with the Wilson's dictionary, which was prepared as the first Sanskrit English dictionary. Later on, we have the Goldstucker's dictionary. Then we also have the Petersburg Wörterbuch, then which is Sanskrit German work. Then we have the Monier-Williams dictionary, and we also have Apte's dictionary. All these dictionaries, they had different corpuses. Corpus is the texts on which the dictionary is based. Apte dictionary had only 200 books as the corpus. So words were taken from 200 books when Apte dictionary was prepared, whereas Monier-Williams dictionary was based on more than 900 books. Petersburg Wörterbuch again is a voluminous work, and it is completed because Goldstucker's dictionary was a little exhaustive, and it gives a lot of information, but Goldstucker couldn't complete it, and Petersburg Wörterbuch was completed by Roth and Bottling. So there are lots of other dictionaries which can be considered as the sources for information, and I think the researchers, they should use all these dictionaries while writing something, while preparing the research papers, and that will definitely strengthen their knowledge, and that will widen the way of thinking they are having. So Thank you very much for your patient listening. I think I should stop now. If you have any questions, any queries, you can type them in the chat box, only the queries, and we will try to answer the queries if they are valid. Even after the lecture is over, you can ask the queries or send the queries to head of the department, and Dr. Shakuntala will definitely be in touch with me, and she will pass on the questions to me. So there is a lot of information which needs to be shared with you. So maybe I'll advise you to register for the course on lexicography if Deccan College announces the course in near future. Okay, then thank you very much. Again, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to connect with you all. Thank you very much.
नमस्कार, आवाज येतोय माझा?
हो येतोय.
प्रज्ञा मॅडम, अतिशय सुंदर असं तुमचं व्याख्यान झालेलं आहे. पहिले तुमचं हार्दिक अभिनंदन. मी आता या ठिकाणी उपस्थित आहे ते आभार प्रदर्शनासाठी म्हणून. तुम्हाला कोणाला काही प्रश्न आहेत का विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो?
We are not taking questions because chat is disabled for security purpose right now.
ठीक आहे, चालेल.
Students will have question, they can post to me or they can convey to other teachers, and then we can post it to Dr. Pradnya Kulkarni madam, and she has literally had lot of information which is definitely will be helpful to all of us. So we can definitely gain some information from her if you have any queries, but right now we are not having any type of interaction here. Dr. Tajne madam, you can continue with the vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you madam. प्रज्ञा कुलकर्णी, प्रज्ञा मॅडमनी अतिशय सुंदरपणे कोश वाङ्मय हा कसा बघायचा असतो, त्याचा अभ्यास कसा करायचा असतो, हे अतिशय सुंदरपणे सांगितलेले आहे. मग पर्यायवाची कोश असेल, अनेकार्थी असलेला कोश असेल, मग त्यामधले असलेले विश्वबंधू कोश, वैदिक इंडेक्स, श्रौतकोश, या सगळ्यांमधून यज्ञयाग विषयीची असणारी माहिती ही कशी शोधायची, कशी बघायची असते, याविषयीचं वर्णन. आणि कोश म्हटलं की काय, तर ज्यामध्ये साधारणतः सगळं खजिना साठवलेला आहे, आणि त्या कोशाकडे बघण्याची ही जी दृष्टी आहे ती आपल्या सगळ्याच विद्यार्थ्यांना अतिशय उपयुक्त ठरणारी अशी आहे. कारण की आपण सगळेजण आता प्रोजेक्ट्स आणि सेम 4 ला तुम्हाला डेझर्टेशन हा सुद्धा प्रकार आहे, तर त्यासाठी या कोश वाङ्मयांकडे तुम्ही आवर्जून बघावं, त्यांना उघडून बघावं. त्यांच्या मागे असणारी परिशिष्ट किंवा मागे दिलेली जी सूची आहे त्या सूचीनुसार त्या शब्दावरती जाऊन तुम्हाला कितीतरी त्यातला अमाप असा साठा मिळतो. बाईंनी पहिल्यांदाच म्हटलं की गुगलवरती एक शब्द टाका, तुम्ही तो चुकीचा का स्पेलिंग टाका ना, तुम्हाला ती भरपूर माहिती देते. अगदी त्याच प्रकारे तुम्हाला हे कोश वाङ्मय उघडता क्षणीच आपल्या मनात नसलेल्या अशा विषयांची सुद्धा आपल्याला माहिती पुरवून देते, आणि नवीन विषयाकडे बघण्याची आपल्याला दृष्टी ती प्राप्त करून देते. अशा प्रकारे प्रज्ञा कुलकर्णी मॅडमने अतिशय सुंदरपणे या विषयाला समजावून सांगितले आणि नवीन दृष्टी देण्याचा एक प्रयत्न सगळ्यांसाठीच केलेला आहे. विद्यार्थी आणि शिक्षक या दोन्हींसाठी हा जो कोशशास्त्राचा असलेला अभ्यास आहे तो अतिशय उपयुक्त असतो, आणि तो सगळ्यांनीच करणं किती गरजेचं आहे हे बाईंच्या व्याख्यानातून आपल्याला आता नक्कीच कळलेलं आहे. तर बाईंचे मनपूर्वक विभागातर्फे आणि माझ्या वतीने धन्यवाद, आणि विभाग प्रमुखांच्या वतीने हा कार्यक्रम आजचा व्याख्यानाचा इथेच संपलेला आहे असे जाहीर करते. धन्यवाद.